he taught me a lot about beautifying the environment, that it mattered, and it's probably a pretty big reason why I became an artist. And I remember he had this super green thumb. I don't know where he got it from, but he could make anything grow. And I remember talking to my dad. I said, "Dad, you got this bell plant over here, and it's like towering above me and dropping down these beautiful bells. And mine's like over here, like struggling to survive, crying, help me." And I'm like, I don't understand how everything just thrives that you put your hands to, when it comes to gardening. And he looked at me and he said, "Son, you gotta water it." He gave me so much, and I watched him not just make things thrive, but he would see some flowers he loved or a tree he loved, and he'd go over, he'd like cut the branch off or take a little piece of the flower, and then somehow get roots coming out of that thing, and then multiplying it till he turned, he took roots and planted and turned every house they were in into a backyard paradise. And that's what he did for me, was he gave me roots. He taught me to work hard. And my dad came from really humble beginnings. He grew up on Staten Island with not much. And he worked really hard. He said, when I started out in the building company, started out learning one job, and he learned to do that job really well. And I think he started at 14, was it 14? Part-time. Mm-hmm. And he learned that job, and then he learned another job, and he learned another job, till he knew how every job was supposed to be done right. And then he became a boss and ran crews. And he worked his way up to partner, where they built probably half of Long Island. And became very wealthy, built his dream house on the water with my mom, and that was the home I was born into. So even though we were very, very wealthy and could have probably afforded to have all the yard work taken care of for us, my dad wanted me to learn what it meant to work hard and the value of hard work in making things beautiful. And so my job, one of my jobs, even though it was to cut the hedges, and we had enough hedges to rival some theme parks. And they were tall hedges, so you had to get up on the ladder and reach, and he figured out how to attach it to a stick and get it going so I could hold it, and took several days to cut, and then you had to rake the dead stuff off the top and make sure, and then little pieces would come up. Nope, you got to give it a second trim, son. And he taught me how to do it right and not to do things halfway. And and this wasn't just at home. He was kind of famous on the job site. There was a story. I think they called him Alexa Gente or something. There was a story going around where the bricklayer was putting up the chimney, and he was putting it up a little bit crooked, and he yelled at him. He said, "Hey, you're putting that up wrong. You got to take that layer down and go again." And the guy was like, yeah. At the end of the day, the chimney was put up wrong. So after most of the guys had left the job site, he went and got a bucket loader and tied that thing up and pulled that sucker down, and it was down on the ground. And so when the bricklayer came in the next day, the whole thing was taken down, but he actually had a heart attack. And so everybody said that my dad was the reason the bricklayer had the heart attack. It wasn't. But he was always about that, about when we do work on this earth, we work for an audience of one. And we do our best, and that's what he taught me, is to always do your best, to always pay attention to the details. Don't skimp and cut corners. And that has served me really, really well in life. I remember as a kid, he would say, he would call me, "Hey son, you want to do something?" I'd be like, "Sure, Dad," to run outside, and he'd be like, "Okay, let's get this. I got this square thing that I put a grate across, and let's go down to the beach and shovel and sift out rocks so we could fill the rock gardens." And I'd be like, "Oh man." He loved to work. He loved to make things beautiful, and but he was really good at having fun too. He was not just all work and no play. I can remember as a kid playing ColecoVision, which, to translate for the younger ones here, it's not super exciting for you. We had a game, Mr. Do. You kind of eat cherries, and it was kind of like Pac-Man in a way, I guess. But some tank came. I can't even remember, but I just remember my dad always played with me. I remember one year we got laser tag, and he didn't play halfway either. He loved to play, and he loved to, he never just let me win. Well, actually, maybe he did sometimes with certain things. But, when we were playing laser tag in the house, he'd like pop out of a cardboard box and start shooting me, or I'd be like looking around like, why am I getting shot over and over again? And, he'd be like in the sauna with the vent open, shooting through the, and yep. And I can remember then we'd get the neighborhood kids involved, and then he'd be like out on the roof shooting us from the roof, and we'd all be walking around and be like, but he took things to the extreme, he didn't do anything halfway, not even playing, but we did spend a lot of time. I was a night person, and we'd start playing cards, in the evening and into the wee hours of the morning with chips and dip. And those are some favorite memories as a kid. But he taught me a lot of things. Taught me about being kind, about being forgiving. Dad was always really quick to forgive. He taught me to be generous, to be true to my word, to honor and respect other people, even if their opinions were different. My parents taught me to value family and to take care of family, that you always take care of family. I grew up with both my grandmothers living with us, and that was a super blessing. He gave me roots in my identity. He unconditionally loved me. And I know lots of friends and different people that I had a dad that they wanted to have. He championed me my entire life. He let me skateboard in the pool when they drained the pool. I would be a nervous wreck. Don't get any ideas. Well, I don't have a pool, so it's okay. He built me ramps. He was my cameraman when I'd go snowboarding or surfing. Even when I was going surfing with my friends, we were like, "Oh, we want somebody to videotape us." My dad would come along and just videotape us. He's helped me start my first business. And I learned to be an entrepreneur for him. And since then, I've started way too many things. In fact, Sarah and I were talking, we said, I think we're idea junkies. Like, we get a new idea and we're like, yes, let's do it, you know? And my dad was the one who made me believe I can. Mm-hmm. So he told me something recently, just a few years ago, that I never knew and I thought was really interesting, because when I told him I wanted to be an artist and go to art school, all I remember was him encouraging me and saying, you know, all right, son, you know, you can do it. And he told me, you know, he was looking at a painting of mine one day and he said, you know, he's like, it just amazes me how you could do this stuff. He said, when you told me you wanted to go to art school, he thought, that's not going to last very long. But, and he'd sit there and tell me, you know, he loved to hunt and fish. He'd sit there and tell me about my fish, especially about how much he loved them and how realistic they were. And he was even telling me that just a couple of days ago, just a few days before he went on to be with the Lord. You know, you never really feel like you have enough time with the people you love. And we were given a really incredible gift of the time that we had with them, and the amazing story of them being able to move in next door. We had hoped that would happen when the house came up for sale the first time around, but it wasn't the timing, and because it was time for them to go to Ohio for a little bit, and somebody moved in next door. And Sarah had prayed for 2 years that we would get that gift of having them next to us. And she noticed one morning they were outside taking pictures of the house, and it looked suspiciously like a realtor documenting. And we quickly said, please do not entertain or receive any offer before you hear us out. And God made that happen through a lot of different circumstances, and we had 8 months of really beautiful time. I can remember the first, might have been the first or second day you were next door. I woke up, made coffee, realized I had no creamer, got my flip-flops on. We had cut a hole through the back fence so that we can have one big yard, and walked next door and knocked on the door. And I don't remember if it was you or Dad who answered, but I said, what's this restaurant got for breakfast? But even with that, you never feel like you have enough time. We were given a gift 2 days before where I was feeling tired. I've been busy, I've been working a lot. I have a list that seems to never expire. And I was thinking of taking a nap, and I said, you know what, let's call Grandma and Grandpa and let's see if they can come over and play cards. And we spent the afternoon playing spoons and cat chaos, which is fun. Ask me about it sometime. We'll have you over. We had a really beautiful day. And I spent a good amount of time between then and now asking God, why at this time? Why now? Seems like it's just this beautiful time just started. And if there's one thing that I've learned in this life, I hope I've learned more than one thing.
Yeah, right.
I hope so. I don't want to circle any more mountains. But if there's one thing that I've learned, it's that God is good. He's a good father. And he makes everything good in the end. My dad was all about the process of making everything good in the end. So when I think about what he'd want for us all today, I think that the thing that would bring him the most joy is for each of us to go out and make this world a more beautiful place. To bring his love into the world. And his Hanukkah that is over here that he built, it represents that. The middle light of the Hanukkah represents the Messiah. And that light is used to light all the other lights that are filled with oil, and they represent us. And we're told to place the Hanukkah in the window for the world to see as they're passing by, to bring light into the world. And that's what I believe that my dad would like for us all to do, would love for us all to do. So Lord, I do ask that you would help us to shine that light on this earth, and to go out and make this world a better place for the animals and for the humans, for the people that may be different than us or have different opinions than us, for our family, for our friends, for the people we're yet to meet. Amen. And I also don't know who's supposed to speak next.
And how am I going to move this? That way. This is good.